So far in this section of the course on Python data structures, we've covered lists, we've covered dictionaries, and we've covered tuples. And in this last section, we are going to cover one more data structure, and that is the set. Now, I left this one for the last because you're not going to be using sets a ton when you're building out Python applications. However, you will come across them every once in a while, and I would be remiss if I did not show you what the syntax was and also the reason why you might want to use a set. And so if you're familiar with the dictionary syntax and you're familiar with the list syntax, a set is kind of a merging of both of those. And we'll talk about a few of the key characteristics that make up a set here as we build out our example. Now, I'm going to set up a list of tags, and instead of using brackets like right here, like we'd use if we were building a list, we're actually gonna, it's gonna look like is we're creating a dictionary, but we're not, because we're not using key value pairs. Instead, we're just using elements and we're listing them out just like we would in a traditional list. So I can say Python, I can say coding, and let's say tutorials. And now if I come down here and print out tags, everything here will work as normal. So you can see we have tutorials, Python, and coding, and this has the set syntax where we have these curly brackets. Now let's talk about probably the most important reason why you are going to ever want to use a set. And that is that a set requires that all of the elements inside of the set are unique. So if you ever have a situation where you need a data structure that looks a lot like a list, but you cannot allow for duplicates, then a set might be a good pick for you. So if I add a new duplicate item, such as coding again, notice how we have 3 elements here. If I run this one more time, notice how we still have 3 elements. Even though we have coding listed twice, it is not included in the output. And so that is very important. Whenever we're using a set, our set is always going to be guaranteed to have unique elements. And so that is one of the top reasons. Now, let's talk about how we can query our set. So I'm going to come down here. And if you try to work with your sets like you would a list, then you're going to run into some issues. Because if I say print and then say tags and pass in 0, you may think that this is going to give me Python, because that's the exact way that a list would function. However, if I run this, for one, you can see we have a error right there, but let's try it anyway, and I'm going to run it, and you can see we have an error where it says traceback file Python line 10, which is right here, and set, and so it knows this is a set object, does not support indexing. So this tells us exactly what our problem is. Instead, what we can do, and I'm going to add a little nope right here, so do not do that. But how can you query a set? And it's actually kind of a cool syntax. And so let's see what that looks like. So if I say query, and I'm going to create a couple of them, but if I say query 1, and I check to see, is Python in this set? I can say Python in tags, and let's see what this gives us. So I'm going to try to print this out, and it's going to tell me that it is true. So what our query is going to give us back is not the element, because obviously we already know what the element is right here. And so we are asking, in this set, in the set of tags, is Python, does it exist in there? And if it does, it's going to return true. Now, if we duplicate this and create another query, so I'm going to say query 2, and we can just say, is Ruby in tags? And try to print that out. We're going to get a false, because Ruby does not exist in this list of tags, or in the set of tags, and that's exactly what we get. So right here, it says that that is false. And so we have two key types of behavior that if you ever have a situation where you need to have a collection of items and you don't need the full functionality of a list, you simply want to have a collection of different elements that needs to be unique, then a set may be a good choice. Also, if you have a collection of elements where you want to check if one of those elements exists or if a element exists in that set, then this gives a really nice syntax for doing that.